Hey there, this is Linda and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. In this video, I'm going to be putting together days 16 and 17 in my 2024 December daily. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, you guys, so it is Saturday, December 21st. And I finally had a chance to get in my craft room. I haven't been in my craft room since last weekend when I put together day 15 on day 15, which was Sunday. So I haven't really had a chance to look at this very much, but I did sit down with my calendar a little bit and try to map out the rest of the month. So this is kind of getting to that point in the month where we only have a few days left and we really need to figure out kind of what stories we're going to tell and what else we have left to do before we're ending the album, right? Because I only have, 7, 8, 9, 10 more stories, and 2 of them are obviously going to be Christmas and Christmas Eve. So for day 16, I'm working on the back of this and probably doing an extra page here. So I was just kind of writing down here the stories I want to tell and what has happened. So we got our first real snow on the 20th, and it snowed all the way into the 21st, which is the shortest day of the year. So I think I want to use those two as those stories. So I made that note there. Another thing was I wanted to let me just pull everything out of here that I have left, because I'm going to go through and kind of plan this out before I even put any pages together today. So I have this twinkle for a photo of my house. And I'm thinking that might be good for day 21 because I am going to do a picture of my house for the solstice and it being the shortest day of the year. So I think I'm going to, I'm going to leave this. I'm just going to write here 21. And I'm not doing the stitch lights because I already did that on day 10. But I am going to do a photo of my house. And this will probably be like a one-side project or page. So I will leave that in the album. Then I had this for doing summer at Starbucks, and I was super excited about this one, and it didn't work out to go see her in Starbucks, and now she is off until after Christmas. She is working Christmas Eve, but I'm not going to be able to make it there, and she's not in her new store. So she works at Starbucks, and she switched to a new store earlier this month, so I was waiting to go visit her there to see the new store, and then she is now back at the old store for a few weeks, so it didn't work out for me to visit her there. I was considering still telling the story and just using a photo I have of her in her apron, but I think I'm not going to do that. And what I will probably do is tell a story about her working at Starbucks, not in my December daily album, because honestly, I don't really get Starbucks anymore. I make my coffee at home and I have for a few years. So what I was kind of going to do was tell the story about how Starbucks used to be a big part of my December and now it's not, but it's funny because she works there. But I think that can be a story for something else. So I'm going to just take that out of the album and put it to the side. So the Let It Snow, I'm going to cut this out and use that for my day 20. So I've got that. And I can even go in here on my little sketch and put 20 here. I took a photo of the snow on the ground by my feet because it was getting dark. And that was really the only thing I could grab as I was leaving work. And then I have this house in the snow for the next day. So that's perfect for 20 and 21. For 22, I decided I want to tell a story about online shopping, and I have more ideas about that. But in the past, I've told stories about Christmas shopping, and this year I did not go shopping at all. I did all of my shopping online. So I'm going to tell that story, and I think that will be good for the 22nd. I also want to tell a story of the media I watched, holiday movies and things. And I think I'm going to save that for the 23rd because I'm probably still going to watch some things. But I could also see using this one for there. So I'm going to just go ahead and stick this guy back in the album as a possibility for that day because I still don't know yet what I'm going to do. So I've already decided to scrap this Pumpkin's Joy story. So I'm not going to use that, but I did have this piece and these numbers. So I'm just going to put these to the side now as maybe something I will use. Put that to the side. And then let's see, we have this guy. I don't have any stories I want to tell using the 2x2 page protector. And I really wanted to use it this year, but I don't have an idea for it. So I think I'm gonna just let it go. This was with that. Okay, so I have this Christmas Eve, but I'm still not totally sold that I'm gonna use that for Christmas Eve, but I'm gonna just leave these guys in the album for now. And I have this December memories thing, which I might put in here somewhere. So I'm just gonna put that up there. And the other thing I wanna do at this point is kind of go through my products and see what else there is that I really, really want to use from this year's collection. So I talked about these stories, and then I have 16 through 19 still that I didn't talk about. So for day 16, I'm gonna tell the story of my wrapping paper. And there was a product here. Let's see this one. This is wrapping. And I'm gonna use this. I think I'm gonna make like some triangles of my wrapping paper on a full-size page. And then on here, I think I'm gonna put a title that says like, let's wrap or something like that. And there's also these that I thought were super cute. So I might use that as like a base for part of my title. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do the title, but that's what I'm gonna do today for day 16. So I'm just gonna put that right there. And then for day 17, I'm gonna document all of the books I read so far in 2024. And like I said, today's the 21st. I just started this book and I'm pretty sure I will finish it by the end of the year. If not, it'll be a few days after. And if I finish it before, I'll either not start something till January 1st or I'll start something, but I won't finish it. So I'm pretty solid that these are all the books that I read this year. I'm okay to make that page already. So I'm gonna make that page on the 17th. And I printed out these covers, and what I wanna do is kind of make a grid of them. And then I pulled over, remembered I had this Read mini kit from Ali Edwards, and I haven't used it at all. And some of these pieces are just not entirely my style, but I do love a few of them. I really love these stickers. And I don't think I want the 6x8 pages just because this is in my December daily, but these are really cute. So I'm thinking of maybe using some of those. I don't want the months. Maybe this chipboard might be good. And then I was going through the cards, and I really like the idea of using this one to tell the story of my favorite books of the year. And I could see this one also going in here, but I'm not entirely sure if I want to bring in some December daily supplies instead. So I'm thinking, and I've never done this before, but I was originally thinking I could put all of these on a 6x8, like outside the page protector, and it's not gonna fit. But it doesn't need two full ones, and I really wanted to use the pocket card. So I was thinking I could make a page that is part outside the page protector and attaches two pockets on the side. And that might not be making a ton of sense, but you'll see as I put it together. That's my plan for day 18 or 17. And then, so I'm gonna do those two pages with you guys today. Day 18, I wanna do some work stories, and that's gonna end up being on the back of the page that has two pocket pages and some outside the page protector. Day 19, so for day 19, I had a rough day, and I wanted to kind of journal about that. And I don't know necessarily that I want to journal, but I think I might just want to make like a resting page about reminding myself that magic is something we make. And I'm thinking I want to cut these out and stitch them on vellum and just give myself like a simple little note for day 19. So that's going to go next to day 18. And then I was also just looking through products. I love this paper, so I want to find a way to fit this in to my album. And I also love this paper, so I'm going to use this one on Christmas Day to end out the album. So that's kind of where I am right now. I think I have a pretty good layout of what I want the rest of my album to look like. So I'm gonna go ahead and start putting together days 16 and 17. I will put you guys on fast forward as I do that. I'm gonna take this guy out of here to work on that. And then, yeah, so just like my other videos, I will put some music on. I'll pop on and off as I have things to say, and I will get 16 and 17 put together.
Okay, I think every year I try to come up with a different way to add my wrapping paper in my album. I know I've put it in 2x2 pockets before. I've taken a photo of the rolls of the wrapping paper. I can't remember exactly what else I've done, but I've done multiple things to try to get it in the album. And this year I wanted to use scraps, and I wanted this to be a photo-free page, mostly for simplicity, but also I just wanted the wrapping papers to stand out. That circle from the kit, I think that was in the main kit, or it might have been in the die cut pack. It's referencing wrapping on it. So I knew I wanted that to be a focal point. And I thought that that would be fun to kind of make the circle go in the middle of the page and have all of the wrapping paper kind of radiating out from behind it in not really triangles, but I'm not entirely sure what you would call these shapes. So I just cut the wrapping paper on a diagonal so that I could adhere it to the page. So the entire page would be covered with wrapping paper with the 3 different patterns on different sections, with the idea that that circle is going to go right there in the center to cover up where they meet. That felt good, but I thought it needed something a little bit extra. So I decided to take it over to my sewing machine, and I used the zigzag stitch to stitch these together. So it almost looks like it's a quilt, because the zigzag stitch goes from one wrapping paper to the other along each of these seams, and then they all meet in the middle, and it's a little messy there, but it doesn't really matter because that circle is going to cover it all up. After stitching, I'm just pulling all of the threads through to the back of my page, and I'm going to just tape them down with some regular Scotch tape. You're not going to be able to see this because it's going to be adhered to the back of day 17. But this is what I do whenever I stitch on paper. I just pull all those loose threads through to the back so that you don't see them. And there were some in the middle there as well I needed to pull through, trim down, and adhere the tape. And once I get that done, I'm going to flip this back over and put that circle on in the middle. And then I'm going to move on to the left-hand side to do my title. So I'm just using rolling adhesive to adhere this down. And I am going to come back to this page to add my number, but first I'm going to work on this left-hand side. So on the back of this left-hand side here is a photo from day 15 that I just kind of paired with my day 15 journaling. And I stuck this on the back because I wanted it to be a little more complete in my album. But that means that I can't do any stitching or anything because it's already adhered to the photo on the back. What I end up doing is using this magic word because I really love these large gold words and I want to use as many of them as possible in my album. And although magic doesn't really have to do with wrapping, I'm going to make it work because I want to use these words. I wish that there was a word that said wrapping, but this works. And I really like the way that the gold looked on top of this pattern paper with the gold stars. So I'm going to use the same alpha stickers that I've used earlier in my album to write out the word wrapping. I think I used them this year. Maybe I used them in a previous year, but these were from a December daily advent calendar. I can't even remember now if they're from this year or a previous year, but I am going to use them to write the word wrapping above magic. And if I hadn't adhered these pages back to back, I would stitch it down, but I can't, so that's okay. The stickers hopefully are sticky enough that this doesn't fall off in the end. The last thing I need to do on this page is add my number, and I'm going to use one of those little flag tags that you can see there in the top right corner of the screen. They're white and green, and those are from this year's advent calendar, and I'm going to use that to hold my number. What you're not going to see on this video today is I'm not going to work on my sampler page. I didn't forget about it. I was kind of thinking in the back of my mind what I wanted to do on my sampler page, but this video, I end up just doing these 2 days, and you probably saw in my previous videos, I've been doing 3 days at a time. So I don't know, I wasn't feeling crafting for quite as long as I normally do. And it turns out what was going on was I was getting sick, but I didn't realize. So I was taking my time and enjoying these 2 spreads. And I will do my 16 and 17 on my sampler, most likely in my next my next December daily video. And If you are new to watching my December daily videos and you have no idea what I'm talking about when I say my sampler page, I have a page that has a sample of each spread on it and will have a little bit of a story for that day. And this is just going to go in my Project Life album to document my December daily process. So if you want to see more about that, check out some of my other process videos from December daily for this year. I added the 16 on there. I wanted to move that page flag up to the red pattern, but it wouldn't move once I stuck it down. So I just had to live with it. And now I'm moving on to day 17, which is going to be about my books. Okay, so you just saw how I put together this page, and hopefully that made a little bit of sense. So what I did was I trimmed a page protector down that had 4 3x4 pockets, and I just sliced off the right 2 pockets, the ones that didn't have the punched holes with them. And I left a little bit of space of the other 2 pockets there so that I would have something to attach to my paper. And then I used some red line tape on that extra part of those pockets, the ones that were sliced kind of in half. And I ran red line tape all along that and added some patterned paper, white cardstock. And then I just trimmed it down so the entire page was 7 by 8.25, which is the outside the page protector size. And now you can see I have these 2 pockets, and then I have a part of a page that is outside the page protector. On the back, I will just adhere some more cardstock down that is the same size as that piece of cardstock on the front, and it will entirely encase the part of the page protector that is adhered to it, so it looks like it's all built as one. I was going through some of the cards in my stash to figure out what to put in that other pocket, and I remembered when I was looking the ones that I got from the In a Creative Bubble online shop that there were some book ones, and so I picked a book Christmas tree because I thought that would be perfect. I'm sure it was probably for like the idea of reading holiday books, but it works perfectly for telling the story of all of the books that I read in 2024 in my December daily album and kind of tying together those 2 themes. Now I'm cropping out all of these book titles or covers. I grabbed all of these off of Google, just did a Google image search for the name of the book, and the cover usually pops up. And I did also make sure that I got high resolution images, and you can just change your search results to only grab high resolution ones. A lot of them were pulled off of Amazon or Goodreads because those are good places to get high resolution images of book covers. They are all 1.5 inches wide. I believe that's the size that I did, so that I was originally wanting to stamp the dates that I read each book next to it. And I have all of that information in my Goodreads account, but I don't end up having space for that. So I end up just putting them in the order that I read them. And I start arranging them on here. I have my Goodreads account pulled up on my computer off of screen so that I can figure out the order of books. And I'm just kind of going through and rearranging them And I do realize that the Goodreads list wasn't sorted properly, so I'm going to have to rearrange some of them as I go, but ultimately I end up organizing all of them in the chronological order that I read them. Okay, I got them all organized in a nice grid, and I just didn't like how there was a little bit of extra space on the right-hand page there between the books and the pocket pages, or the pocket page. So what I did was I used some of the washi from the main kit, the rainbow colored one, which went really well with just all of the book covers, and I used that just to adhere along the edge of the white paper. This was not at all necessary to adhere the pieces together because the red line tape was doing that, but it just added a little bit of color to the spread and helped make the page kind of the right size. If I had thought in advance about this and knew how I was going to arrange all of these books, I could have cropped the page to be the right size. It didn't need to be the full 7 inches wide. It maybe would have even looked nicer if it was smaller so that my pages wouldn't have all been the full 7 inches across, because I had a few in a row that were the full 7 inches across, but it worked out perfectly fine like this. I'm moving through, adhering them all down, and I'm leaving one spot in the top left corner there blank because I'm going to add my title there. Then after I do all of that, I'm going to go through my books and look back over my reviews on Goodreads and think about it and make my top 5 list. And I'm just going to stamp out the titles on that top 5 books list, which I thought was just a fun touch to say, these were my favorite reads from 2024. My top favorite read was Lady Tan's Circle of Women. If you haven't read that book, I highly recommend it. It was a great book, but there were a lot of other honorable mentions, and I did struggle a little bit to come up with what was going to be on that ultimate list. For my title, I just turned it on its side and used those same alpha stickers as on day 16 to write reads, and then I'm stamping out 2024. I'm going to use these same alphabet stamps to stamp my top 5 favorite books when I get to that, but first I'm going to work on my filler card. So I did go ahead and add a puffy heart near the reads. I'm trying to decide now which direction it should go, but I add one there, and then I'm going to move on to that pocket. So I'm going to use the one that's the book tree there. I was trying to decide between these various ones, and I end up going with the book tree, but I don't like that this white is right next to the white of the top 5 books because the whites are not exactly the same. You probably can't tell on the video, but I can tell in person. This was a printable, so it was printed at home, and the top 5 books was from Allie Edwards, and so it was printed by wherever she gets her cards printed. So I definitely didn't want those touching, so I used one of those washi strips from the advent calendar along the edge of that tree there. And now I'm working through figuring out what those top 5 favorite books are, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp them all out. Okay, the last thing I needed to do was figure out how to add the date, and I decided to stamp it out using these same alphas right along the edge of the books. But you're probably noticing right now that I'm stamping the word 16, not 17. This is day 17. I just did 16, which was my wrapping paper, but I don't notice that. I stamp 16 and I finish off the spread with that in there, and I don't notice at all. I put it in my album, and I'm going to flip through. Oh, first I'm going to look at all of these word phrase strips. This was another sheet that was in the advent calendar, and select one just to add a little something else onto that card. But anyways, I'm going to put this in my album and completely not notice that I did 2 day 16s and no 17, which is completely fine because I will go back later and fix it. Here, I'm also adding one of these book stickers from the book kit along the bottom there because there was a little bit of space left. So as far as fixing my mistake, I do end up going back after I have put this in the album and finished filming and replace that card to put 17 on there. Thankfully, that card was a printable from the In a Creative Bubbles shop. So I was able to just print another one, and I moved the washi and the sticker very carefully from the one that was in there to the new one that I printed. Because I was printing it out, what I did was I added the word 17 on it in a similar fashion as how I stamped 16. using my computer. I just did that in Photoshop before I printed it, and that way I was able to just slip it into the pocket rather than stamping it out. And I'll put a picture of that finished photo on the screen because you can't see it in this video because I didn't even notice until after I was completely done filming. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And as always, I hope to see you guys all in the next one. Thanks. Bye.